My name is Liz Arcane. In this first episode, I'm going to be looking at the differences, similarities, and conjecturing on the relationship between Christine McVie and Stevie Nicks, two of our best loved singer-songwriters, performers, whatever you want to call them. There are so many differences and similarities, and it's not so much that I want to pit them against each other. Rather, it is a matter of exploring their differences, their similarities, and really considering what it is that makes them so very special. It's important to acknowledge at this stage that Fleetwood Mac are a band who went through a huge amount of transformations over the years. If you listen back to some of their early output, such as Black Magic Woman, Albatross, of course, the really famous instrumental, then you will hear a very different band to the band you hear of the time of Rumours. And that has a lot to do with these two women joining the band at different times. Let's begin with Stevie Nicks, Stephanie Nicks, or Stevie, which is understood to be the only way she could say her own name at birth. She was born in 1948 in America. We won't get too much into when and where and the exact details, because what I'm really interested in with Stevie, and yes, I will use her first name because I feel like I know her, and that's the way everybody feels about the best musicians, is that not only is she an extraordinary performer with a unique style and what today we'd probably call expert branding, but I think at the time wasn't seen in that way. It was just Stevie being Stevie. She has also been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, and I believe is one of the only women, or maybe the only one, to have done so. Once was with the band and once was for her solo output, of which there is so much. And in fact, that tends to be the music people think of first with her. Now, she joined the band along with Lindsey Buckingham. They were a folk duo called Buckingham Nicks. This is a very well-known story and not one I'm going to go into in depth. But you will know, if you know Fleetwood Mac, that there is a tapestry or background of romantic confusion and cross-pollination of relationships within them. But let's think about Stevie, let's think about the songs, because it's so easy to get sidetracked by the great dramas that went on in this strange band and period in music history as well. Now, I talked before briefly about her branding, her look, her style. I'm sure she wouldn't call it branding. She predominantly is a vocalist who would stand at the front of the stage and very much pull focus in a very intentional and effective way. She is known so much in terms of fashion and style, as well as in terms of her vocal style, which I will speak more about in a moment. It's hard for me to think of Stevie Nicks without thinking of fringing and a tambourine and this sort of fringe, which of course only works if you're watching the YouTube version, but that 1970s hair flicked look and quite a witchy celestial style, which I won't pretend hasn't been an enormous influence on me. Now, she famously wrote the song Dreams, Rhiannon. Those are some very important songs that she wrote while she was in the band Fleetwood Mac. Landslide as well, and contributed enormously to the album Rumours, which really is their seminal output. Anyway, some of those songs, Rhiannon for example, Landslide, they have such a nostalgic, such an emotive feel, and that really characterises Stevie's work. And as well as that, they really showcase her vocal fry. And what I mean by vocal fry is a technical term that doesn't sound technical, but believe me, it is, amongst singers where, and you can even hear it now because I'm just getting over a cold, there is this kind of croaky sound in their voice. Now, let's look on the flip side. So we have Stevie, we have what I imagine to be this very American blonde, this very powerful, quite sexual performer, and drawn my attention to the wonderful Christine McVie. She is British. She is from Lancashire, born in 1943. She was originally, her original name, Christine Perfect. What a stunning name. I should have known from that just how wonderful she was. We sadly lost her in 2022. She was brought up with a very different kind of musical background, and I think this is one of the main comparisons I want to make between them. We have Stevie Nicks coming from this earthy, bluesy background, then coming up through a kind of folksy, but not folksy in the British way, style of music with Lindsey Buckingham. Christine McVie was involved in a band called Chicken Shack, who often toured with Fleetwood Mac in the early days. She played a lot of blues, and I think she began as a keys player and songwriter. I don't think she ever entertained the idea of becoming a frontwoman, for example. And I doubt very much that she would be up at the front of the stage twirling with her tambourine like Nicks was. Now, differently to Stevie Nicks, Christine McVie released a solo album before she joined the band, called, I think, eponymously, Christine Perfect. People seem to really struggle for album titles back in those days. She joined the band, and Mick Fleetwood said, and was reported as saying, that she became the glue, as in she's the one who held them together. But Christine McVie's smooth vocals, Stevie Nicks always characterised her vocals as, rather than being technically good, but instead being something that would make people stop and look. What I think is so wonderful about Christine McVie, and in a way she shares this with Stevie Nicks but in different ways, it's not so much the accuracy or the fact that she uses her voice as sort of an instrument, bearing in mind she also played piano and accordion as well, as that for me really characterises the emotional style of English folk music. It makes me think of artists like Sandy Denny, who was in Fairport Convention. I want to say Fairground Attraction, but I think I'm getting confused with Simply Red, sadly. And as well as that, I want to say Vashti Bunyan. I'm not 100% sure if she is British, so let me know in the comments whether I've got that right or wrong. But that very delicate, dropping British tone, which is just extraordinarily emotive, extraordinarily powerful, and makes listening fun. To give a slightly cheesy Christine McVie pun. Now, she wrote that song, You Make Loving Fun, Say You Love Me, Don't Stop, Everywhere, Little Lies. So, I mean, we can say Fleetwood Mac are bluesy rock. Those really, though, are resolutely pop songs, aren't they? And they're not pop songs in the way that Stevie Nicks wrote pop songs that were strange and unearthly. But the point is, and this is why this podcast is all about juxtaposing the two sets of skills and not throwing the slightest bit of shade at all. These women were just extraordinary.